Hi everyone, this is Purse Doll here again and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a video on the second half of my tag called the purse wear and tear tag. And so I have the tag right here. And there are 10 questions and I've already answered questions 1 to 5 in my first video. So if you haven't watched that, please click on the link below to watch that part. And now I'm going to answer questions 6 to 10. Okay, so let's get started. Question 6 says, rank the order of wear and tear that bothers you the most to the least. And I have some examples here. I have rips and tears, broken zipper, strap, water damage, loose threads, cracking, stain, creasing and wrinkling, color fade, color transfer, patina, sagging, and scratches on hardware. I know that there could be other things that happen to bags, but this is what I sort of came up with. And when I came up with these categories, I also kind of ranked them already. So the ones at the bottom bother me the least, and it works my way, and I can work my way up to the top. I'm not saying that these things at the bottom don't bother me, just that those things bother me less, I guess. Okay, so the first thing that bothers me, but not too much, are scratches on hardware. So I've gotten scratches on the hardware of my Chanel walk. It was already there when I first bought it. There's scratches on Louis Vuitton hardware, especially like the locks. And Prada does get some scratches too on their hardware as well. And while scratches don't look too pretty, I'm okay with scratches on hardware because I feel like the hardware is never going to just fall apart. If you have a scratch on a piece of leather, I feel like that could end up being a tear and the whole thing could just kind of fall apart. Whereas like metal's so strong that it's never really going to fall apart, right? So that's why it bothers me the least. The next thing that bothers me, but not too much, is sagging. And I have a lot of Louis Vuitton bags, and they do sag over, well, they sag the first time you use it, but they also get softer over time. And I don't mind the sagging of my Louis Vuitton bags because that could be easily fixed with a base shaper or a purse organizer. And a lot of these bags also look good saggy, so that's okay with me. The bags that I do have a problem with sagging is for the structured bags, like my Prada Saffiano Luxe Tote, and also my Chanel Classic Flap, which I don't have here. Those bags, because they're meant to be structured, I wouldn't want it to sag. And because my Luxe Tote is like the smaller version, I don't worry about this one sagging, but I have seen bigger ones that start to sag. It's not terrible, but it's just something that I don't necessarily prefer. Okay, so the next thing that bothers me, but not too much, is color transfer. And I know that a lot of people probably worry about this a lot because I've seen a lot of people talk about it, and I worry about it too, but I also feel like with bags like my Chanel Walk and my Eva and my Prada Walk, those are meant to be worn crossbody, in my opinion, and color transfer is going to happen anyway. And because I do like light colored bags as well, I feel like there's really nothing that anybody can do to protect against that, and I don't really want to have restrictions on what I can wear too much, and so I feel like a little bit of color transfer on the back is okay, and then once it's happened, then I feel more carefree to use it. I just wouldn't want color transfer to happen on the front, or like too much so the whole thing is discolored, but a little bit is a natural, I think. Okay, the next thing that bothers me, but not too much, is color fade, and I don't actually have a good example anymore of color fading, but I used to own a a Marc Jacobs bag, and it had leather kind of like the Balenciaga leather, that was untreated and very soft and very squishy. And the sales girl said that it would change color over time. And I didn't actually own the bag long enough for it to see too much color fading, but I could see that it was starting to change, and I kind of like bags the color that I bought them in, so I don't think I would enjoy color fading at all. Okay, the next thing that could be a cause for concern is creasing and wrinkling. And creasing and wrinkling in these canvas bags are okay because I find that once you use them, the crease falls out. But where I wouldn't want creasing, once again, is with these structured bags like the Saffiano Luxe Tote and also the Chanel bag. And I didn't bring it down with me, but I also have a pochette in epi leather. And those bags, granted, they're very hard to crease and wrinkle, but if you were to happen to squish them for some reason, I don't think those creases come out. And so that would kind of freak me out on those bags. Okay, the next area of concern is cracking, and I don't think that I have anything that actually cracked. I have something that might have ripped, but I don't know if those are the same things, but I think cracking is more like you have something dry out you. And I guess I don't have the weather that, you know, any of my leather has cracked. But I can imagine that it's something that you can't fix. Okay, but the one thing that does really bother me is loose threads. And it bothers me, I think, on a psychological level. And so my experiences with loose thread is like this. So I had a Chanel wallet and chain in red, and when I first bought it, everything about it looked pristine and perfect, except when I got home, I noticed that there was a little loop that wasn't totally pulled through in the front, and I worried about it all night, and then the next morning I went straight to Chanel and to get that exchange. And so my worry with a loose thread is that the whole thing could just pull apart, kind of like in those cartoons where somebody's pulling the sweater of a cartoon character, and then the next thing you know, the cartoon character is completely nude. So something like that. I know that like the string doesn't fall out at that rate, but it makes me worried. I do have other little stories with, I guess, loose threads. So my Prada wallet and chain, for example, and I don't know if the camera's picking this up, but if you look at the bottom corner, there's a little piece of thread hanging out. And I don't think that like the whole bag is gonna fall apart, but I don't like that it looks like that. And I had a piece like that on this strap of this bag. And at the time that I bought it, I didn't really want to go back to the store and make a big deal about the strap. And so what I did, and I know this is not for everybody, is I took a little bit of crazy glue and I just glued it down. Because I know crazy glue dries clear, and this is like a black bag, and it was just like that little piece of string. I glued it down, and then now I don't worry about it anymore, even though I know that it wasn't going to completely unravel. Because the strap gets heavily used, I didn't want there to be a little piece of string hanging out, and I might do that for this one at some point if I feel like it's necessary. Okay, the next wear and tear thing that could possibly happen, let me see if I can focus my camera, is water damage. And I haven't experienced any water damage, but I think I've seen pictures, and I feel like it wrinkles up the whole bag, and it's pretty irreversible, so I can imagine water damage is pretty terrible. And I put broken zipper and strap at the top because I guess if you have a broken zipper or strap, then you can't use your bag anymore, like it loses its function unless you replace them. And the one at the very top that bothers me the most is rips and tears, because I feel like that thing is only, the rip or the tear is only going to get bigger, and you just don't want your bag to fall apart when you're not aware of it, right? And so the best example I can give is, once again, with my Prada wallet and chain. When I got my first one, this is my replacement. When I got my first one, I eventually noticed that there was a rip between the leather and the hardware here. It wasn't a really big rip. I think it was just the way that the metal piece was twisted there. And it wasn't like, you know, I was afraid that it was going to get bigger, and so they eventually replaced it for me. But then afterwards, I mean, before I got this replacement, I still kept the other one for a week or so, and I used the bag, and it didn't get any worse, right? So I feel like Saffiano leather is pretty tough, but you know, you don't want there to be a rip right at the strap, and you know, this whole wallet piece could just fall off at any given time, right? So that one really, you know, caused me to be insecure at the time. Okay, so those are all the ones that I have in terms of wear and tear. Feel free to add anything else that is of concern with you. Oh, I think, okay, so question 7. Actually, before I go there, I think I forgot to mention patina, so this one right over here. Okay, so patina is something that I used to be really concerned about. I had a Speedy 30 that was my very first Louis Vuitton bag, and I didn't know at the time that the handles would patina, and I had used some water or whatever, and I went like this, and I got a water stain on it. And at the time I didn't realize it was a water stain right away, and so I actually took like a damp cloth and I tried to wipe it off, so thereby making it worse. And so it really freaked me out the first time, and I put away that bag and didn't use it for months. But now that I'm more familiar with the patina process, I'm okay with it. Like, for example, I have this one that's very dark, this one that's also dark, this one that's a little bit more golden, and this one that still looks fairly white. And so I feel like the patinaing process is okay as long as it's even, because it's very natural and it looks good with most of the bags. Okay, number 7 says, how long does it take you to get over a wear and tear event? I think I've gotten better about this over time. Like I mentioned with my Speedy, the first time I did something to it, I went down to the store and I tried to get it fixed, and the guy was just like, just enjoy your bag, just enjoy your bag. And I didn't take his advice, and I kind of went home and I put it up on a shelf and I researched other bags that I can get to kind of replace that one. And it wasn't until several months later that I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna use this bag and I am gonna just love it. And so it took me months, I think, to get over that. But now, you know, things don't take me as long because I'm more experienced. For example, with this Chanel bag, it was already broken in when I got it. And then when I got a little bit of color transfer right here, I was upset about it for perhaps, like, I mean, I put it away for about a week, but now I'm over it. And then I got even better because when I got color transfer on the back of this one, I was upset about it for like 24 hours. And then afterwards, I was like, yay, now I can just use it as I wish and not worry about, you know, marking it up. Okay, so how long does it take for me to go over a wear and tear event? It could be anywhere from 24 hours to months, but I'm hoping that it's usually just 24 hours. And number 8 says, what do you do about it? I guess now I kind of talk myself down about it. I look it over. I see if there's anything I can do about it, like try to, you know, if it's like a stain, try to wipe it clean, or look into maybe how much it'll cost to replace a certain part or whatever. But for the most part, I tell myself that, you know, bags aren't meant to be perfect, they're meant to be used, and that's what I say to myself. Number 9 says, do you have a handbag horror story? I don't think I have a horror story. I think the most horrifying thing that happened to me was the Speedy. There was one other time, though, that I had my Chanel Classic flap with me, and it was behind me in a chair, and I had forgotten that it was there. And when I sat down, I felt like I was almost sitting on top of it, but I mean, I jumped up right away, but it made me really scared that, like, I had maybe crushed my bag. I looked it over. I mean, it looked fine, but it definitely made me really nervous. But I don't have any, like, truly horrifying stories, like I went out, you know, in some sort of snowstorm or rainstorm or something like that with one of my bags. Okay, and it says, number 10 says, share examples of wear and tear. And I think I did that throughout the videos. I just want to show you one more thing. I have this pochette out here because it's one of my oldest pieces. In terms of when it was made. I actually haven't had this for very long. I bought this pre-loved, and I made a video with my collection, and then I think looking at this in person and looking on this camera, it's a little bit different. I do notice that the sides of the strap is very dark, and so I'm not a big fan about that, but when I look at it in person, it's not that bad, but the camera's picking up a little bit more, and so I'm just showing you how how dark and, you know, how black it could get at the sides of these with a Louis Vuitton bag. Let me see if there's anything else. I think that is it for now. I hope that this tag wasn't too long. I know I had to break into 2 different parts, but if you make handbag videos, I tag you, and I would like to hear your responses to these questions. And also, if you don't make videos, feel free to answer any of these questions in the comment section below. Like, maybe you can tell me which of these things in terms of wear and tear that bother you the most, or you can tell me which is your most delicate or most durable bag or something like that. Anyways, thanks again for watching my videos, and welcome to all my new subscribers. And I really enjoy making these videos, and I hope you enjoy watching them, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!